I welcome you all to this Learn with Joes channel. This is an academy of knowledge economy. My name is Josephine. I'm the digital educator. I'm starting today a fresh course titled Science and Religion. Science and religion. Are they in concord? Are they in conflict? There's a long debate about the relationship of science and religion. It is a dialogue. What I'm doing today really is to introduce science and religion. And subsequent Tuesdays, I'm taking an aspect of the topic to teach you. Knowing fully well that every Tuesday on this channel, I teach a core course in my area of specialization, philosophy of religion, and theology. Let's join Learn with Joes before I continue. I welcome you back. If you are just tuning in, this is Learn with Joes, an academy of knowledge economy. I'm starting today the topic, science and religion. Are they in conflict? Are they in concord? Well, that's not the issue for today. The issue for today is introducing science and religion. Introducing religion and science. Like I said, it is a dialogue. The dialogue between science and theology, or what we say science and religion, has become so significant today that Cambridge University and Oxford University established chairs in science and theology. Science and religion have had a long and exciting relationship. And many scholars have proposed various strategies for relating them to each other. Most conversations take the seminal work of Anne Barbour as the starting point. Barbour, arguably the very first true scholar of science and religion, identified 4 ways science and religion could relate. His analysis first appeared in 1988 and was expanded in 1990 with his influential Gifford lectures. A discussion for a wider audience appeared in the 2000s. In 1896, the president of Cornell University, Andrew Dixon White, published a history of the warfare of science with theology in Christendom. You know, before this, people used to think, oh, there's a concord, there's a warfare between science and religion. They are not related. One is empirical, one has no facts. There is no way you can bring them together. But under White's influence, the metaphor of warfare to describe the relations between science and the Christian faith became widespread during the first half of the 20th century. The culturally dominant view in the West, even among Christians, came to be that science and Christianity are not allies. Are they allies? Sorry, in the search for truth, but that science and religion are adversaries. Let's look at Taxton and Pearson. What did they say? As Taxton and Pearson pour out in their book, The Soul of Science, for over 300 years between the rise of modern science in the 1500s and the late 800s, the relationship between science and religion can best be described as an alliance. Until late 19th century, scientists were typically Christian believers who saw no conflict between science and faith. People like Kepler, Boyle, Maxwell, Faraday, Kelvin, and others. They are Christian believers. The idea of a warfare between science and religion is an invention of the late 19th century, carefully nurtured by secular thinkers who had as their aim the undermining of cultural dominance of the Christianity in the West and its replacement by naturalism. The view that nothing outside nature is natural, and that is what is bringing in a kind of warfare between science and religion. The only way to discover the truth is through science. They were remarkably successful in pushing through their agenda. However, philosophers of science during the second half of the 20th century realized that the idea of warfare between science and theology, or what we say science and religion, is a gross oversimplification. Gross oversimplification. White's book is regarded as something of a bad joke, a one-sided and distorted piece of propaganda. Some people acknowledge that science and religion should not be regarded as foes, but they do not think that they should be considered friends either. They say science and religion are mutually irrelevant and represent two non-overlapping domains. But sometimes slogans like, oh, science deals with facts and religion deals with faith come out. But this is a gross caricature of both science and religion. As science probes the universe, she encounters problems and questions that are philosophical and therefore cannot be resolved scientifically, but can be illuminated by theological perspective. I am going to repeat this for emphasis. I know this very well. My first degree is in science. It's my second and then last degree, that is my master's degree, and my doctoral degree that are in philosophy of religion and theology, that are theological and religion based. So science itself, as a biochemist, because my first degree, I majored in biochemistry. So as a biochemist, I realize and I know that science probes the universe. And there are some problems, even questions that arise when you are probing the universe that can never or cannot, let me use cannot, be scientifically explained. You only need an illumination, which can come only through theological perspective. It is simply false that religion makes no factual claims about the world. World religions make various and conflicting claims about the origin and nature of the universe and humanity, and they cannot all be true. Science and religion are thus like two circles that intersect or partially overlap. It is in the area of intersection that the dialogue takes place. the area of intersection of science and religion is where the dialogue takes place. During the last quarter, a century flourishing dialogue between science and theology occurred in North America and Europe in an address before a conference on the history and philosophy of thermodynamics. The prominent British physicist P.T. Landsberg suddenly began to explore the theological implications of the scientific theory he was discussing. He observed that to talk about the implications of science for theology at a scientific meeting seems to break a taboo. But those who think so are out of date. They're obsolete. During the last 20 years, this taboo has been removed. And in talking about the interaction of science and theology is moving with a tide. Numerous societies promoting this dialogue, like the European Society for the Study of Science and Theology, the Science and Religion Forum, the Berkeley Center for Theology and Natural Science, and so forth, have sprung up. Especially significant were the conferences sponsored by the Berkeley Center and the Vatican Observatory, in which prominent scientists like Stephen Hawking and Paul Davies explored the implications of science for theology, with prominent theologians like John Pockeon and Wolfhard Panneberg. Not only are there professional journals devoted to the dialogue between science and religion, such as Zegon and Perspectives of Science and Christian Faith, but more significantly, secular journals like Nature and the British Journal for the Philosophy of Science also carry articles on the mutual implications of science and theology. The Templeton Foundation awarded this $1 million Templeton Award in Science and Religion to outstanding integrative thinkers such as Paul Davies, John Pockeon, and George Ellis for their work in science and religion. Modern Western empirical science has undoubtedly been the most impressive development since the 16th century. Religion, of course, has been around for maybe decades and is presently flourishing, perhaps as never before. But true, there's the thesis of secularism, according to which science and technology on the one hand and the religion on the other are inversely related. As the former waxes, the latter wanes. However, resurgences of religion and religious belief in many parts of the world cast considerable doubt on the thesis. The relationship between these two great cultural forces has been tumultuous, many-faceted, and confusing. I will, in the subsequent lectures on science and religion, concentrate on the relationship between science and the theistic religions. And when I talk about the theistic religions, I'm talking about Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, where theism is the belief that there is an all-powerful, all-knowing, perfectly good, immaterial person who created the world, created human beings in his image, in his likeness, and to whom we, human beings, all worship, obedience, and allegiance. Most of what follows we also apply to the monotheistic and enotheistic varieties of Buddhism and Hinduism. Perhaps the most salient question is whether the relationship between religion and science is characterized by conflict or concord. You need to pause, ponder, and think on this. For those who are scientists, or for those who are religionists, or for those who are theologians, you need to ponder on this. Science and religion, are they in conflict or are they in concord? Of course, there may be both conflict and concord, conflict along specific dimensions, concord along others. But this question will be the central focus of what follows. Other important issues to be considered are the nature of religion, the nature of science, the epistemologies of science and religious belief, and the question of how the latter figures into the alleged or actual conflict or concord between religion and science. Well, this is just to introduce science and conflict. And I'm going to expand more on it. Like I said, I need you all, before coming next Tuesday, to listen to what I'm going to say. I'm going to focus more on that question. Are they in comfort? Are they in conflict? Are they in concord? I mean, definitely we will see conflict in one area, another area we will see concord. But I'm going to dwell more even on the nature of science, the nature of religion, the epistemologies of science and religious belief. So join me next Tuesday for the continuation of this topic, science and religion. And don't forget to join me on Friday for another Friday tonic. It's Lesson of Life. I wish you a very fantastic week. Thank you for joining me.